Hello everybody, Reggie Time here, and in just a moment we're going to be looking at some hands I played in a session on Sunday night from Coin Poker. Before we start, very quick, if you like what you see in this video and you think, oh, I wouldn't mind taking a look at these games, getting into them, get in touch with me before you register with Coin Poker. I will give you an affiliate link which will get you an extra 10% rake back paid monthly direct into your account from either myself or the affiliate. That is on top of the 30% you get weekly from the site. So for 40% rate back, get in touch with me and I can hook you up with some extra rate back. Right, that's that out of the way. Moving on, this is an extension of yesterday's video. So if you haven't watched yesterday's video, perhaps go back and watch that first and then come to this video because we had some battles yesterday with this guy. We're looking at the top left table here, table one. This Sowers J guy, we played 3 pots with him on yesterday's video. He was very active with the 4 betting. So if you want to see what the narrative for this hand was, if you go back and watch yesterday's video, it will give you some extra information on this one. So yeah, this guy yesterday, for those of you who can't bother to go back and watch, he'd 4 bet us 3 times yesterday in half an hour. This is now 48 minutes into the session, and he's opened under the gun. We have 2 aces. It's a beautiful spot against someone who's been very active with the 4 betting, and we're just going to 3 bet, obviously. Nothing more to be said about that. We're just going to fire the 3 bet in. Hope he's going to do his 4 bet thing. And for those of you who don't know, in the last video, he just 4 bet ripped pocket 5s pre versus us. He 4 bet queens pre, and he 4 bet a hand we don't know what it was because we didn't get to showdown. So they were the 3 hands he 4 bet. He's gone with the 4 bet again here. We got the aces, and in the last video, in this exact same situation, we slow played kings pre. So in the interests of quote unquote mixing it up to go old school, do we just 4 bet again? Do we just call again here with aces? Do we decide this time that we're not going to flat? We're going to just ram it in his face because he has now demonstrated to us he's willing to get 5s in pre, albeit not in this line. He just 4 bet ripped the aces, the pocket 5s pre. Do we get it in now? I mean, this guy has been very active. Maybe he's just on the longest tilt session ever. Maybe this is just his way. Maybe he just wants to get it in pre as quickly as possible. And that's what I was beginning to think. So I just decided to accommodate him this time. I'll try and accommodate him. And we just went with the rip. And I'm not sure I like this. I think we should probably just call again because the guy is an active 4 better. So he's going to have some light stuff in. And I think I just got a bit excited here, and I was disappointed because I think we just shouldn't rip there. Given what he's been up to, given how he's been playing, I think it's a mistake to just rip that in there. I got greedy. Yeah, I wasn't at all. I mean, it's always nice when you take down a 28, well, whatever else is in the pot, 30 big blind pot without a fight. But yeah, I think I got a bit overexcited then. Not the most interesting hand, but I thought I'd put it in just to continue the narrative from yesterday for those of you who watched yesterday's video. But yeah, I think that's a mistake. I think I should definitely just flat there because that's what we've been doing against him. Without, I think he'd 4 bet us 3 times and we'd never 5 bet him. One time he didn't allow us to 5 bet him, but the other 2 times we just flatted. I think we should have continued there and just continued flatting against him. A little bit disappointed with myself. So this time we're up at table 1 again, and we're looking at pocket jacks. We've raised that from middle position. We've been called on the button by a guy who isn't playing a full stack. He's literally the only player in this game who I would say is a quote-unquote regular, i.e. he seems to play daily, and he seems to play every table here. You can see all 4 tables here with he's got a very big stack on table 4. 500 big blinds. He's got a reasonable size stack on table 2. Then you can see he's short stacked on both tables 1 and 3. He buys in for 40 bigs. He will let it dribble down, but clearly he doesn't like hit and run. But it's not the kind of site where you can hit and run. There's not enough traffic to employ a hit and run strategy. So I guess if you're going to be buying in short here, you're going to have to play the deep stack. So he's a bit of a strange guy. He's kind of plays the short stack relatively aggressively. He's not that into folding off it, if you will. But I'm not sure how he plays a deeper stack because it's very rare I see him with one. So I mean, he plays every table. He's not a classic short stacker. he does a lot of flying. He kind of buys it for 40 bigs and just plays what I would call it relatively normal poker. He's not there employing what you would say a traditional short stacker strategy of just doing a lot of 3-betting pre-flop. He does just still call a lot pre-flop and then just like, in my opinion, overplay post-flop. That's my read on him. I think I know him pretty well. And I'm pretty comfortable um, that he's not an especially talented player. Although this stack would maybe say otherwise. So anyways, we got the jacks. We get multi-reaction. We get this flop. This is going to be a check for me pretty much close to 100% of the time, especially against this guy who has a rather large propensity for like big betting post flop when check two, with made hands of quite a like wide variety. If he had like 8x here, for example, I expect he would bet big. If he had pocket sevens, I would expect he would bet big pocket sixes. I think he would probably check back his two overcards. If he had a hand like 10 jack of clubs or something, I wouldn't imagine he would do too much stabbing. Could be wrong on that because obviously there's times where he bets and we just fold and we don't know what he's got. But when I have got to showdown with him and he's been being aggressive, he normally either has a made hand of some description or a higher equity hand. So we're going to try and check raise him here. It's like super clean value. So yeah, it's just about what size do we want to go with our check raise. I think this guy's just going to have like 7-7, which probably won't continue as to check raise, but 8x, pocket nines, flush draws, maybe some stuff like 6-5. So I think that was good chance it's going to continue. When he bets big, I think there's a good chance this guy's just like, yeah, I'm in, and I'm not going anywhere. So I think we can go for quite a big raise here. I wouldn't mind seeing us going like 21 to 24 big blinds. Because I think we're just going to try and get all the money in now against him if we can. Let's see what I go with. Looks like I've got 22.44 set up. So I've clearly just pressed a button there rather than chose a size. Opponent goes all in. We snap because that was the plan all along. There's no point dicking around. He's got 10s. Yeah, whatever. Again, not a particularly noteworthy hand, but it is a hand that just goes to show the value of playing regular tables that we talked about in the last video. This isn't me saying come and play at coin poker, you can get it in jacks versus 10s, etc. This is me saying again, like I said yesterday, if you are a speed poker devotee and you are barely winning at the game, like most of you will be, I'd imagine the vast majority of speed poker players barely win before rate back, all just lose money. If you're watching my videos, then that's likely you. If you're a speed poker player, because I very much doubt speed poker crushers watch my videos. I'm not sure why, but I don't think my demographic is the 500 Zoom regular pool. I think it's way more likely to be people just like me, like recreational players who try the best to do well, but not stick crushers. So if you are a speed poker player and you're watching this, it's very likely that your win rate is something between losing player and at best +2, +3 bigs 100. When you play regular tables, you just get to set up better dynamics, a better meta with people. You get to learn more about them more quickly because you get to see everything. Even when you're not in pots, you get to see things. The speed poker, you play that, you fold to somebody, and you don't get to see what they've got unless you go back later. And unless you like click fold and watch, or you go back and find the hand later either in like the replayer or in your tracking software, you just don't get to see what they had. And it happens often enough where you probably just don't get down to seeing everything. Whereas if you're paying attention at regular tables, you just do get to see everything. You get to observe all the hands you're not involved in. You develop better reads on people more quickly. And you can then start to adjust your strategy to try and exploit anything that you see that is a weakness in their game. It's just reg tables. It's slower. I get it. It's a bit more boring than speed poker because you don't get as many hands per hour. But yeah, it really is the way to go. Whenever you play your poker, if you're a speed poker player, I would urge you, especially if you're a speed poker player that isn't successful, to just bite the bullet and be like, right, I get it. The next few sessions are going to be slower. I'm going to be a bit more bored. I'm going to have those cravings just to get the speed poker fix back. I would urge you to not do that and to give regular tables on whatever site it is you play a go. And I'd be very surprised if long term you didn't, just by making that decision alone, if you didn't significantly increase your win rate. Anyways, we are only doing 15 to 20-minute videos, so let's not go on too much about that. We've got 2 more hands to review, so let's get to the next one. So I guess here we're looking at table 4 in the bottom right corner. My notes have told me it was table 2, so do better at your notes, Reg, you fucking fat idiot. I guess it's this one, because it's King Queen off, and it was 72 minutes into the session. This is King Queen off, and we are 72 minutes into the session. So we're looking at table 4 here. King Queen off against a hand against Sick Hero. We played a hand against him at the end of the last video where we had Jack Queen. We 3-bet him. We ended up betting 2 streets on Jack Queen X. We got a call on the river. We didn't get to see what he had. I think this player is maybe one of the better players in the pool. He just seems decent, solid, not spewy. We're going to 3-bet from the small blind. Eventually, we do. We find the 3-bet. He calls. Aha, yes, this one is. No, I can't remember. This video's going to be a bit jumpy now. Let's rewind it back because I've been basically just clicking the wrong fucking buttons like a moron. So I'm not sure how much of what I've just said you heard, but I'll recap. We've 3-bet this hand pre-flop. We've got this flop, and now it's like, we've got a board that we probably want to range bet in general. Ace, 6, Queen, like 2 high cards and a low card. Very good for our range. We have like pocket aces full frequency. We have pocket queens full frequency. We have ace queen at full frequency, and then we have pocket sixes not very often, I guess. Whereas our opponent only has pocket sixes and some ace queens that didn't 4-bet. So we have like a very significant range advantage here. We also have like a pretty significant nut advantage. So it's a board we're going to want to see bet at an incredibly high frequency. But this hand in particular isn't that comfortable c-betting. So do we just c-bet anyway? Because, most of our range wants to. So we're protected with our king queen in terms of like you can't just get out of line against us. And I guess on the flop, that's pretty easy. We just do that. We just go with the range bet. I think it's a turn that gets interesting. Because even though our particular hand here doesn't really want to bet, our range does. So we're just going to do it. I could be wrong there, but I don't think I am. So we go with like 1/3 pot. He calls quickly. Turns like a total brick. The absolute like classic brick. So we've range bet this flop. But now what do we do on this turn? Because if we check and he starts betting, it's very uncomfortable. But if we bet again, do we really get action from worse? I mean, we got a pretty bad card in the Queen of Spades in terms of like worse hands that want to continue. We'd really like him to have the Queen of Spades if we if we had a hand like, if we were value betting, we wouldn't want to have the Queen of Spades because we want him to have it to call with his worse hands. As we're now trying to like we'd like him to have the Queen of Spades in terms of, we don't want to have the Queen of Spades because we want him to have some flush draws in his range. Sometimes they're trying to butcher in this spot completely. I'm talking bollocks. This is the problem when making videos as a bad reg. You talk some shit sometimes, but it doesn't feel like our hand's a particularly good one here. But at the same time, I don't want to come off the lead because I think if we come off the lead and he starts betting, it just gets very, very murky. So I mean, I don't think I've butchered reviewing this hand, and that's because I butchered playing it, and that's because I find it actually a pretty tough spot to know how to continue here. Like on boards that are really good for our range, but like probably not that good for our actual hand. I find these spots tough, and I guess that a lot of you guys will find yourself in the similar situations, and maybe you guys find it tough too. But I really would appreciate some comments on this one because, as I start to like as I'm starting to add more 3-bets to my game pre-flop, I'm going to be getting in more and more of these like slightly dicey spots out of position with good but not great hands. And yeah, tell me how you would continue on this. But I think flop probably close to mandatory range bet. Turn now what? I mean, he's only called a 3-bet pre. He's only called a 1/3 c-bet, so he doesn't have to be super strong here. But if we start checking, and he's a good player, like I think he is, or a good player relative to the pool, you know, we're giving him the opportunity to put us in the blender. We're giving him the opportunity to just value on us. I didn't want to come off the lead basically, so I ended up betting again. But I didn't like any of my options. Didn't like any, so I decided, well, I don't like any of my options. Let's just not come off the betting lead. Um, you know, and maybe just like try and control our losses by betting smaller. And if he's got a hand like Ace Jack or Ace 10 suited, we lose less because he would probably bet more when he bets than we bet in. So I just decided to go with block on the turn, and then I was just gonna like never bet the river, but then just expect to lose a lot somehow. If he calls again, kind of when I'm blocking the turn, then I don't mind if he just fucks off. To be honest with you, it's shitty, fishy old logic, you know. Bet, hope they fold. You know, when you got but not when you got a value. How about when you got a made hand? It's a tough spot. I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable. So we bet, and he called a game pretty quickly. I think it's hard for us on the best hand now, unless he's got draws. Problem is, if he's got a draw, and we check the river, we just allow him to bluff us off the best hand. But if we check and he bets the river, then he's also just going to be a value bet his aces with impunity. Didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. When he calls again, I was just like, right, the guy's either got flush draws or he's got like ace jack suited, ace 10 suited, stuff like that. Maybe once in a while he's got some jack 10 suited, king jack suited, king 10 suited, that sort of thing. But so that's going to bluff the river and put us in a tough spot. Didn't like it. And I was just checking the river, kind of hoping it went check, check, and we somehow win. Hoping it went check, check, and then, well, not hoping, but expecting it goes check, check a lot, and he just shows us ace jack suited and wins. Yeah, I didn't think I was going to win this pot. Did not think I was going to win. Didn't think there was a way to victory either. Didn't think there was a path to victory. Yeah, it was grim. Definitely the toughest hand of the session from my perspective. Did end up checking. He checked back and then he mucked immediately, which was very pleasing. I mean, I can only assume there he had some kind of like flush draw or cut shot straight draw or something that he elected not to bluff with. So he let us off the hook there, and as far as I was concerned, that was a bonus. Winning that pot was a bonus. Right, I'm going to move on to the last hand, which is Jack 10 of clubs. This guy, I remember this hand too, because I went to 3-bet pre, and I regretted it immediately because this guy, as far as I'm concerned, is a recreational player. I'd never seen him before. He's got the playing from a tablet or a mobile device icon. He's just a recreational player, and I think, and the big blind, I think, is recreational too. I think we should just call here. I think this is where I'm trying to be more aggressive pre-flop and just trying to 3-bet more appropriately. And I know this hand is usually 3-betting or folding from the small blind. It's not doing much flatting whatsoever. It's either 3-betting or folding. I've got a random number generator now that I use, and I just rolled a 3-bet here, so I did it. But I didn't like doing it, and I think this is where I need to be like, yes, trying my hardest to be as aggressive as I dare be pre-flop. Certainly putting more 3-bets in my game, and my results have improved significantly since I've increased my pre-flop aggression in hopefully a smart way. My results have improved. Hands seem to play out more in my favour post-flop because you're just a person with the initiative more often, etc. It's just, there's without question, my game has improved significantly since I did some work on my pre-flop ranges. But I think I've just been a slave to it here, where I didn't want to do it. I just wanted to call. My instincts were just call. But I was like, no, we don't do that anymore, Reg. You know, we don't. We 3-bet or we fold, etc. And I think it's a mistake here. I think I made a mistake in this hand, and I think it comes back to bite me on the ass. We don't want too many spoilers, but I think this is where I can just say, yeah, I should 3-bet here, but because of the setup of this hand, we have like a recreational player who hasn't been particularly active in terms of pre-flop raises. Here we have a recreational player raising from the cutoff. We have a recreational player in the blind who's unlikely to squeeze us. I think we just have like a theoretically incorrect, but in the moment correct call from the small blind. So I'm disappointed with myself here for just allowing myself to become a slave to the sim. We'll say, because I heard Daniel Negran, you say that on a podcast the other day with someone called Lex Fridman or something. Um, it's a quite yeah, it's a good watch. If you watch it on YouTube, you go and find like Lex Fridman and Daniel Negreanu. It's about 2.5 hour interview with Negreanu, and the guy doing the interviewing asked some pretty basic dumb questions because obviously his audience isn't necessarily a poker audience, but it's a good watch. I would recommend you go and find it if you enjoy listening to podcasts and things. Anyway, this recreational player goes deep into the tank. Which is annoying because it took us past the 20-minute mark of the video. And then he calls, we flop ourselves an open ender. We're going to range bet this, I guess, to like 8 bigs. Not loving any of it. I mean, loving the fact we've flopped an open ender in the back door. We actually check. Right? I wonder why I didn't bet there. Maybe I didn't bet because I was already annoyed with the fact that with 3-bet a play, we shouldn't 3-bet pre. And then maybe I thought, oh, this range is going to like have more king and queen X in because I don't expect this type of play to like 4-bet king queen, ace queen, things like that. So maybe I was just a bit scared, a bit more scared of this flop. I think I was just like I was already annoyed at 3-bet pre, and now I was like, oh fuck's sake. Yeah, I was pissed off with myself basically. But we should just see about this flop because he's gonna have stuff like pocket nines, maybe pocket eights. Although I expect this guy to some limping with them from the limited information I had on him. So maybe he doesn't have them. Maybe he just has a lot more high card stuff, ace king, ace queen, because I don't think these guys necessarily 4-bets ace king pre, king queen, obviously blocked a little bit by the way. I had to have too many combinations of king queen, ace king, king queen, stuff like that. I don't know. It's a clusterfuck. The last 2 hands have been clusterfucks. Anyway, we decided to check. He bets full pot, and I was like, man, you know, part of me just wanted to fucking absolutely razzle this in the middle. Just fuck it. Just run it, Reg. Just fucking run it. We've got like backdoor flush draw and open ender to the nuts both ways. But then, like, how often do we see recreational players just pot it in a 3-bet pot and not have like, any fold equity against them? He's either going to have a good made hand or he's just going to have a pretty big fucking draw. Might even be free rolling us with like the Jack 10 of spades or something, which would be a total fucking disaster, of course. So part of me wanted to rip, part of me just wanted to fold immediately, but then I was like, oh, I've got the back door flush draw too. If we had like Jack to the diamonds here, maybe I would just fold. Well, probably would just fold. But with the back door flush draw, I'm like, oh man, do we just rip it? Can we just call C1, hope for a miracle? This whole pot's fucked up because I shouldn't have 3-bet this player pre-flop. And this is the problem you get into, when you, well, no, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the pre-flop 3-bet in theory. In practice, against this player, I think it's bad, and then this is the situation it's led to. I didn't like anything about this situation. I was like, oh man, don't fuck the session up though, Reg. You had a good session, you're just about to wind it up. Don't fuck it up now. And part of me is wanting to fold. We ended up calling because if we like see a green turn up, we see an ace or a 9, we're probably just getting the fucking lot. As it happens, is we just hit like a card that's going to allow us to check fold quite comfortably now. Should he decide to put more money in? And boy, does he decide to put more money in. He decides to put the lot in. And now we just have a trivial fold. But this hand made it in because I castigated myself for 3-betting. Jack 10 suited is sometimes a 3-bet, small blind versus cut off. No problem with that. I have no problem doing that against the vast majority of players. But when I know it's a situation, before I even put the 3-bet in, I was like, no, don't do it here, Reg. He's a recreational player. He's been limping, and you have a very pretty hand that plays well post flop. But then I was like, well, that's old school Reggie logic, blah blah blah. So I got married to my new strategy, and I think that was a very good time to deviate from it. And as long as I'm not allowing myself, giving myself shit excuses to deviate all the time, it's going to be fine to deviate. So I mean, I'm not complaining because it's going to be going really, really well this month. I really cannot complain. But I think that was mistake from me. And whilst on the subject of it's going well this month, I know we're into 25 minutes now, but now we've played these two videos, I will show you my up-to-date results for the month on the coin site. So this is October to date. It's in says pounds here. The friend who made me it set me up for Sky. This is dollars, not pounds, but we have played 23 hours so far this month on the coin site in 10 days, and we've made $441. It's very pleasing, running above. Well, not running above expectation. Well, maybe I am. I don't know. There's no EV calculations on here, but just been had some good situations. This is not. I mean, this is not my true win rate. This is not my true hourly in this site. There's no way we're going to be winning at like 20 quid an hour or whatever that is, 18 quid an hour. So don't look at this and think, fucking hellfire, you make a fortune there. This won't be right. I expect half of this would be about right. You know, after 23 hours, if I was up $200, I'd be like, yeah, that seems more reasonable, like $9, $10 an hour. Seems more reasonable. But yeah, it's going really well, and I'm certainly not complaining. So yeah, there we go. That's the end of the video. This one's gone on longer than I wanted it to. Really quite annoyed by that. I need to find more brevity for Wednesday and Thursday and Friday's videos, which will be coming. There's going to be a 5-video a week. We'll leave it here. Happy rest of the day, everybody, and we'll see you again tomorrow with more action from Coin Poker. Bye-bye for now.